Welcome to the Word for 2021. Today we're in Genesis chapter 48. The book of Genesis was written so that we would have a Christian worldview. In order to have a Christian worldview, we need to have a good grid of understanding so that we can see the world in the right perspective. In the book of Genesis, there are four major events that take place. The first is that of creation. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In order to have a proper worldview, we need to understand that God is the creator of everything. The second is the introduction of sin. Sin came about by a choice, and that is now perpetuated throughout the generations. Also in Genesis, we have the formation of the patriarchs. God has chosen the small, the weak, the insignificant things to bring about His glory. And so the formation of the patriarchs starts the nation of Israel, whom God will use to bless everyone. And then the fourth is the fallout of sin. As we look through the lives of the patriarchs, we see how sin affected their lives. So these are the four major events that take place in the book of Genesis. The patriarchs were Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Joseph, and the 12 tribes that are the 12 sons of Jacob. In verse 5 of chapter 48, this is what we read. Jacob is talking with Joseph, and this is what he says. Now then, your 2 sons born to you in Egypt before I came to you here will be reckoned as mine. Ephraim and Manasseh will be mine, just as Reuben and Simeon are mine. Jacob is adopting Joseph's 2 boys, and they become part of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now those 12 tribes would be Reuben and Simeon, Levi and Judah, Zebulun and Issachar, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Manasseh, Ephraim, and Benjamin. Why do we need to understand what took place with the formation of Israel and those that made up the nation of Israel? God tells us in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 6, now these things occurred as examples to keep us from setting our hearts on evil things as they did. In verse 11, the things that happened in the past with the patriarchs and those that have gone before, they're examples and they were written down as warnings to us. God provided these as examples so that we would not make the same mistakes that they did, that we would make right decisions, that we would learn from their mistakes so that we can do the right thing before God. Now, our Christian worldview, again, starts with the understanding that God is the Creator, that one day we'll have to stand and give an account to our Creator. But He is the one that set everything into place. God created all things. And also along that line, we need to understand that God is sovereign, that He is all-powerful and He is almighty. But even that, God chooses to work in the affairs of men. He chooses to bring about His desires through sinful people. God chooses the weak, the frail, the undeserving, the foolish things to bring about His plans and His glory. God is patient and loving. He is forgiving and merciful. Having this understanding gives us our proper Christian worldview. We need to understand that everything that we are and everything that we have, it's all because of God. God is in charge, and God can bring good from bad. God uses imperfect, sinful people to bring glory to Himself. God is on the throne, and our Christian worldview understands that one day, again, we will give an account before God. So we need to learn from our past so it's not repeated. That's the reason for the Word for 2021. To understand God's Word, to allow faith to rise into our hearts, and that we might be holy before the Lord, learning from those that have gone before so we can make right decisions and bring glory and honor to God too. Thank you for joining the Word for 2021.